Hey everybody, Rob Veno, WagerTalk, WagerTalk.tv. Here today on Tuesday with some NBA free looks. We're going to look at a pair of games here, starting with the Knicks at the Nets. But first, before we get into the action here, just want to make everybody aware that this is $5 Tuesday over at WagerTalk. Each WagerTalk handicapper has one play selected to sell for $5. $5, a good opportunity to get involved with anybody that you may have wanted to get involved with before, myself included. You can get a $5 play today, top rated selection from myself over at wagertalk.com. Once again, this is $5 Tuesday over at WagerTalk. Let's get into the games here. New York at Brooklyn. New York open minus 10, 222, currently 11.5, 219.5. Quick look at the injury chart shows no notable injuries for the Knicks. Brooklyn, however, Cam Thomas remains out. D'Angelo Russell, game time decision. Ben Simmons now down to questionable. Bojan Bogdanovic is out of this one for the Nets. Scheduling, the Knicks are in the second of a back-to-back. They win 119 to 110 yesterday, Martin Luther King Day afternoon special over the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, the Manhattan to Brooklyn travel is as short as a team can have, so no travel fatigue for the Knicks here. Their minutes were somewhat taxing in that game. Four starters other than Mikal Bridges all played between 36 and a half and 41 minutes. We'll get into that in a minute. That may have been designed. Brooklyn's rest advantage, they had yesterday off, but they are in the first game after coming back from an extended 6-game West Coast road trip. And we do like to fade teams like that. That probably negates any back-to-back spot that the Knicks are in. Matchup situations here. Quick look. Mikal Bridges, once again, this is going to be his first game playing back in Brooklyn. He was a Brooklyn Net for a while. He made a couple of comments. Going to be good to see some teammates. Going to be good to be back there. So Mikal Bridges back in Brooklyn tonight. New York did beat the Nets in back-to-back games at Madison Square Garden earlier this season. Those games were split both ways as far as spread and total are concerned. 1-1 against the spread, 1-1 over-under. The Knicks did win both. Nets have been bad lately, 6-10 their last 16 games, 0-4 last four as a home underdog. Those underdog losses were by 9, 27, 14, and 15. New York, however, stumbling as well against the spread right now, 3-7 against the spread last 10 games. Quick look at some matchup advantages for the Knicks, and they are substantial advantages. The Knicks are number 4 in the league last 10 games in points in the paint. Brooklyn, over their last 10 games, they're number 29 in the NBA defending points in the paint. Knicks number 5 in the NBA over those same last 10 games in points off turnovers. Nets 29th in points off turnovers allowed. Those aren't great matchups for the Nets. A lot of things to consider here, and a lot of counter arguments can be done in this game. The Nets are pointing to getting more comfortable at home. They play 10 of their next 12 at home, want to be back home in front of the fans. Like I said, it was a long extended trip. I'm not sure that you want to lay the points here with the Knicks, even though the matchups suggest they're the better team. Tom Thibodeau is known, absolutely known throughout his career for grinding his starters into the ground where minutes played are concerned. But this could be a really good spot. Be a little more judicious with those minutes. Karl-Anthony Towns has been on the injury list as of late. Jalen Brunson has been on the injury list as of late. So maybe those two guys get a few less minutes. And as I mentioned earlier, the guy who didn't play a lot yesterday and was 12 for 17 from the field is Mikal Bridges. I don't play props hardly ever, and I don't really have a firm decision on this game side or total. So what I'll leave you here with for the free play for today is Mikal Bridges points and assists over 19.5. Once again, it's a homecoming for him. He was red hot yesterday, shooting the ball pretty well. He's going to get volume here today. He had 17 shots in 17 minutes yesterday. Pick up a few assists like he did yesterday, 4, and we get up and over the 19.5. So that'll be your free play for today. New York, or at least one of the free plays for today, the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets game with Mikal Bridges, player prop over 19.5 points plus assists. Let's take a look at our second free play of the day. Orlando at Toronto. Orlando opens -2.5, 215.5, currently down to -1.5, 214.5. Injury report for Orlando. Obviously, it's red long all season long. This case tonight, Jalen Suggs, their number one point guard, out. Franz Wagner, although practicing now and reconditioning, so we may see Franz Wagner within the next 7 days, from what I've read. Number one center, Goga Batadze, out of this game still with a concussion in the concussion protocol. Number two point guard, Gary Harris, Jet Howard, number two small forward. Those guys are both game time decisions. For Toronto, real quick here, their lead point guard, Emmanuel Quickly, is out. Chris Boucher, game time decision with an illness. Toronto has suffered through injuries all season long as well. You could actually call them fairly healthy at this point. Schedule, Toronto's had significant rest here and a big advantage in this game. They've had the last 3 days off. For the Orlando Magic, they had yesterday off, but they've been playing an awful lot lately, and they've been kind of weary. So there's a huge rest advantage here for the Toronto Raptors. If we look at the matchup and the situation, I'll just go quickly to a quote from head coach Jamal Mosley of Orlando, where he said, "I'd be lying to you if I said this wasn't difficult. These guys are giving everything they have in these moments for what they have." Again, Orlando's been banged up all season long. Toronto as well. Orlando did win and cover here just 18 days ago without Paolo Banchero. They had other guys that are on the injury list now, but they didn't have Banchero back then. Toronto, again, certainly no sympathy for Orlando. They've been without players all season long. The contrast in styles here is stark. Orlando, basically a pedestrian, walk it up the floor team, rely on your bigs down low, where Toronto is hugely an up-tempo team, want to get out and run. The first game, Orlando kind of imposed their will on Toronto in that 106-97 game. The Magic front line, even without Batadze and Wagner, still has a lot of depth and a lot of height and size. So figure Orlando can lean on that one more time here in this game. Final look here. I'd say this real quick. Orlando's offense has been abysmal. Even with Banchero back in the lineup, they've gone under their team total 10 of the last 13 games. Those 13 games, full game totals, both sides combined, they've stayed under 9 of 13. In the 5 with Banchero, if you just want to isolate those, the Magic have only averaged 99.4 points per game. Their high has been 106, but it is a step down in class for Orlando tonight. 4 of their last 5 have been against playoff teams. Toronto's certainly not one of those. The only non-playoff team Orlando played during that 5-game stretch was Philadelphia, and they beat the Sixers 104-99. I could see a little bit of that happening again here. This total has been pushed down by a point. Market got to it a little bit early, but I still think 214.5 is too high. I would play this game under the 214.5. The first game only got to 203. Looks like another one in that style. So Orlando, Toronto, under is your free play for today, under the 214.5. On the way out, I'd like to ask everybody to hit the like button if you like the content that you're seeing here from WagerTalk, handicappers, selections, and analysis. Hit the like button, click subscribe, join the 193,000 plus that have already subscribed to WagerTalk TV. If you have a comment on this game or any other game tonight, please drop it in the comment section. I try to get to them as soon as possible. Once again, this is Rob Veno saying good luck with all your plays tonight. We'll see you next time on WagerTalk TV.